Okay, I am excited to make this video because it has just been a real long time coming. So here we are, finally, with my PlayStation being piped into the computer. It took, I'll go into it later because I want to create a series on, okay, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy X. Is this the Final Fantasy you want to start out with if you've never played Final Fantasy before? That's what I did, and I'm going to tell you why maybe you should or shouldn't. Now, first of all, if you're finding this video and you want to know this, you might be asking, are all Final Fantasies connected? And the answer is no. They are all different stories, except for there are some exceptions. There are sequels to certain Final Fantasies, such as this one, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X, aka. There is also a Final Fantasy X2. There's many versions of all the games and remakes and remasters, and there are, I don't know how many Final Fantasy games. Maybe we should look it up. What was the last Final Fantasy? Like 16? You can't see what I'm doing, can you? Final Fantasy 16. I think that was the last one. I was looking in the background. But I started with Final Fantasy X for a few different reasons. They all seem to maybe possibly be able to take place in a similar universe. They all have chocobos, which are these big ostrich type things. And I think all of them have a reference to Gilgamesh, which I think is like one of the oldest stories in the world. And yeah, so Final Fantasy started a long time ago. I think in like 80 something, 4, 86, 82, I don't know. But it's been around my whole life because I was born in 1984. Final Fantasy 1, was like 8-bit and it came out for, so 1987 for the NES. So Final Fantasy games started in this 8-bit style and they evolved to fully 3D. They started in this turn-based style with where, like Pokemon, where you pick what actions you want to do. And they evolved to now a lot of them are more like just straight up action games. As you can see, there's a lot of different kind of eras of Final Fantasy, different looks as the technology got better. And so at one point, it shifted from this 2D-ish kind of looking feel over to 3D. And that first big shift was, of course, Final Fantasy VII. And, I'm sure you guys know Cloud. This one was for PlayStation. That was a big one. Now, I haven't played this one, but I've seen some playthroughs of it. So I just thought, Final Fantasy has been around since 1987, almost my entire life. I've never played a Final Fantasy game. I've started a couple here and there, but I was finally like, okay, I want to play a Final Fantasy game, so I know what Final Fantasy is. So I kind of made like a list of which ones I potentially wanted to play. Obviously, 7, maybe. I was looking at 8 looks really cool. It's a little bit more like mature looking, more adult looking. 9 is kind of interesting. I was just looking at some clips of 9. It's kind of like a mix of like the more cartoonish, like a lot of Final Fantasy, some of it is more like kind of kiddie, like kind of seems like it's geared more towards like 13-year-olds, where other parts of Final Fantasy seems a little bit more mature. And 8 seemed like more of a mature one that I thought maybe I might be interested in. 9, this is 9, which is kind of this weird cartoony throwback style. But still looks cool. And then 10 was one that I was hearing a lot about. And I remember seeing the advertisements for when I was younger and just thinking like, what is this? Like, here's an ad for it. And 10 had the sequel too. So I finally found online a great deal on Final Fantasy X and X2 together, and they threw in like 11, I think, which was the I think that one's the online only one that I'm not even sure if it works anymore. But so I ended up getting Final Fantasy X, and man, it's been a long, long playthrough. Like, if it wasn't for the internet and being able to look up how to beat certain parts, I don't think there's any way I would ever have made it to the end of the game. And I think I'm at the end of the game. I think I'm like one boss away from beating the entire thing. Now, so this is like a trailer for Final Fantasy X, and it's pretty amazing. You look at these images and you're like, wow, what is this game? Now, obviously, these are cutscenes. This is not actual in-game footage. You get some of these cutscenes at certain moments. A lot of the big ones kind of come actually toward the beginning that they show in these in this trailer, and it is pretty amazing that the PlayStation was able to handle these kind of awesome little movies and just the graphics that it does. So it is pretty cool. But I mean, the in-game graphics are nothing like this. They're more like this, which is still not bad. It's definitely a more just kind of solid, good graphics kind of thing compared to that early, like warbly, kind of trashy PlayStation 1 graphics, which I kind of like, which 8 kind of has. But I ended up getting this one because, you're looking for these things, you're kind of trying to get a good deal, and this is just the one I found. So I ended up playing it. It. So here's the thing: like when I get to a point where I'm stuck, like on a boss, and I look up these videos of people beating it, they're like beating the boss in like no time at all, and it just seems like they're way more overpowered than I am. So I don't know if they've done all these like side missions or something, or just done a lot more grinding to get experience. Sorry about the freaking train. But for me, with every single boss, it has just been like I've barely made it by the skin of my teeth after like sometimes hours of just grinding to get a little bit more AP. What is that? Ability points, and to level up my team, and then finally go back in and beat that boss. So it's been tough, and it's taken me a long time. I'm about 80 hours in. I got this 2.5 years ago, and I'm finally about to finish it. What I'm showing here is some of the parts that I just would not have ever had the patience for. So actually, I did notice in a remaster version of the game, there are more hints that come up on the screen. I think this might be the version with more of the hints, because on the version I have, the original version, they don't tell you like a lot of stuff. Like they're still not telling you a lot of stuff in this one, but those white balls are kind of like energy, like electricity balls, power spheres, and they don't really ever tell you that. You kind of just have to like eventually be like, oh, okay, see this does something. But this isn't even one of the hardest ones. I think maybe eventually, if I really wanted to figure out how to beat this, I could have eventually figured it out. There's other ones that I just would never have had the patience for. And there's also stuff that's like super easy to miss. I'm at the final boss, and I got him down to about 25,000 hit points, HP or whatever. And I figure if I just was a little bit, my team was a little bit stronger, maybe I could do this. I've realized there's another Aeon, which is a creature you can get to fight for you, that I had not gotten yet. So I went back to do all this stuff, and I think with one more Aeon, I might be able to beat the final boss. We'll see. There's definitely a few other things. There's like celestial weapons you can get that'll increase your strength and damage. And I don't know, there might be other like spells I can learn. There might be more upgrading I can do to my Aeons. It might require more grinding, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do another attempt on the final boss the next time I record, and we'll see if I can beat him or if I still need to do stuff. And yeah, just be talking more about gaming and Final Fantasy and all the hardware it took to get this stuff set up, and kind of my experience with the game. It was pretty enjoyable. I mean, just these temples kind of sucked, but you can literally just find someone playing through them on YouTube and just follow step for step every step of how to do this and get through it, and get through it without a lot of time spent on it, because there are definitely like 3 points in the game, and now I spent 80 hours on this game. So just 3 points. It's not like a large portion of the game, but there were a few points where I was like, this sucks, and I would never ever have the patience to try to solve this had it not been for the internet and actually just looking up how to do it. Like if I bought this game, when it came out, yeah, I would not have been ever beating it. I mean, even with that, it's taken me 2.5 years. So, I mean, there's other things I want to talk about too, like how my ex hated this game. And this is kind of like sort of a ritual for me too. Like I gained a lot of weight and I've been working it off over the past like 2 years. And, so I'm almost at the point where I want to get out and I want to start dating again. And so I'm like, okay, get in shape, do this, do that, get your career going, get some money, and finish your gaming career. Finish your video games. Finish the games that you don't want to play because girls might not like them. I don't think it's a very attractive thing to be sitting in front of a TV holding a controller when there's someone you love in your area. I told my ex, cause she's like, hey, don't you have an Xbox? Like, why aren't you ever playing it? And I'm like, I don't want you to see me playing Xbox. And she was like, no, we should play Break It Out. And I just wish I hadn't done that. Not like it like caused any problems, but it's just like, it's addicting. And once you get it out, it's hard to put it away. And once it was out, I was like, damn, I wish you hadn't brought this into our world, because now it's out and it's just going to be hard to get back in that box and forget about. But so, I mean, that's why I want to do this. I want to finish playing this long ass game and just be done with games, and back out there into the world, trying to find a woman, get some booty, and start a family, have some kids, and start a life. And games are great, but they're not as important as that could potentially be. So that's what I want to do, and that's why I'm filming this. I'm going to finish this game, and then I'm going to go back into the world and find a hot, sexy woman that just wants to spend a day naked in bed, So let's get this done, get it over with, put it aside, move along, move on to another phase of life, but still really enjoy this last part of this while it's here. So that's what I'm going to be doing. A Final Fantasy playlist on Final Fantasy X. Maybe we'll get into X2 a little bit, because I do want to just, at least, since that's my reward for beating Final Fantasy X, is to at least just play the beginning of X2 and see that amazing cutscene and know the context and be like, yes, I'm finally here. After over 80 hours of playing this game, I'm finally allowing myself to see the beginning of the next one, which will be really cool. So I think it'd be fun to just get all that filmed and on a new channel that maybe I'll pop in and do some stuff with here and there. I had a Twitch for a minute, but I don't know. YouTube is a platform that, I like a lot more than I don't like. Twitch, not as much. I just don't find myself as, engaged with it and staying with that level of engagement as I am with YouTube, because it has all the content that I want, with all the podcasts, just everything is there at any time you want. Their live features aren't as good as Twitch, but there are okay. And it's just a platform that's just, I don't think it's going anywhere for a long time. And it's cool to have a library of your content. So going to be making a few videos getting to the end of this game, beating the final boss, which is the final jet, Final Fantasy X. This beautiful man. No, he turns into a big monster, and it's really cool. And we're gonna talk more about these characters and the stories and all of it, and why it's good and what could be better, what I didn't like. And there he is, the final jet, Braska's final Aeon, and we're gonna see finally how this all ends. It's like a big like storyline with concerning death and sacrifice and fatherhood and family, and it's going to be interesting to see it all finally done. There's been some really cool fights and special effects and art and just like characters coming together, growing bonds, and just a lot of amazing stuff. Right here is some of I think some of the HD remaster. Looks just so amazing. It's not my video is not going to look this good, but it's going to be on an actual original like first run disc of Final Fantasy X playing on a PS2 Slim. So it's going to be fun. I cannot wait, and I hope you watch more of this playthrough.